Hi, it's me again. I'm back with another video. Oh my gosh, I gotta fix this button. Okay, I'm back with another video, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Love Island USA Season 7. I already teased it with the last video that I shot where I talked about all the things that were going on with Shelly and Alandria and the hate. So I'll be addressing that later in the video. To start off the video, I do want to give a disclaimer that I am always going to be rooting for everybody Black. And I think that non-Black people should just mind their business about certain topics that are brought up in the house, and especially the racism and microaggressions that were on full display. If you are not going to be in full undivided support, if you're not going to be backing up whatever they say and justifying it, and you are also Black, I think that you need to just sit down and know when to be quiet. You have to stay in code. That's all I'm going to say about that. And for anybody else who's not Black, you have something to say, keep it to yourself. All right. So just like last year, I'm going to be doing this part with the what is it called? Wikipedia article, just so I can remember the order of everything. I don't have a script. I'm not going to use a script. I'm too lazy to use a script. It's too much effort for me to read off a script. And the last time I did a scripted thing, it took me fucking forever to film and edit. I don't want to do that. I want to film on YouTube. So here we are. We have our Wikipedia article, and I'm just going to be going through this and again over things with the Islanders. So this season starts out with 6 boys again and 6 girls, and we have. Let me go back. Okay, I found it. All right, so we're going to start with week 1, day 1. So everybody gets introduced. They have a new intro dance sequence. Again, I don't like it as much as season 6, but I am a new Love Island fan. I don't know how it compares to other seasons. I do have plans to go back and watch other seasons, but it's not like really my priority at this time. So for this dance intro number, I forget the name of the song. It was very forgettable. All I saw was Shelly and Alandria, and I was like, yes. And yeah, I don't really remember the song. So we start out on day 1. They introduce Nick, which other boy? Jeremiah, Austin. Huh? Was it 5 or 6? Am I tweaking? I guess I was wrong. I guess it was 5. Oh, and Taylor. That's going to be a hint. I feel like this is going to be a repeat of last year all over again. Okay, and Taylor. And then they introduce the girls. They have Bella. They also have Alandria, Shelly, Huda, this girl named Yelissa, and there was one more. Did I say Bella and Yelissa? Okay, yeah, I don't really care for them. Unless it's 5. It could be 5, it could be 6. I don't really know. All I know is that I'm rooting for one more. Okay, so on this day, we get introduced to people. They like all go out. They're in like their bathing suits. They're talking to each other, chatting each other up. They're getting to know one another, and it's all right. It's interesting. You know, I was locked in on Shelly. You know, she's my favorite. She's just so pretty, and she's queer, so I was automatically like, okay, I'm rooting for her. And then they also have some time where they focus on the other dates that are going on. So obviously, I remember the boy I forgot, Ace. My bad, G. Okay, and Ace. Okay, so Shelly is talking to a bunch of the boys. She's really hitting it off with Austin, and Ace, and then they are also showing like Bella and Nick having a conversation. When this was immediately what like for me was like, oh, she's done. He was like, oh, what type of degree would you be pursuing? And she said the highest. Like the facial expression he made was the same face I made, where it's like, oh yeah, we can't do this. Like she's too young, she's too immature. Even when they introduced each other, like I wasn't in on the Nick Alandria stuff until like halfway through the season when the brainwashing got to me. I joined the cult, but before that, when he was like, oh, I don't have breast milk on my breath, when she made that comment towards Ace, I was like, oh yeah, they locked in for real. Okay, and then Jeremiah and Huda, they like have a really good instant connection. I guess I don't really care about their storyline. I don't like Huda. I'm going to say this again and again and again throughout the whole thing. She is a massive projector. She keeps saying that she's emotionally mature and intelligent because she has a daughter, when her actions do not show that. She's a person who expresses a lot of trauma, which I understand. I was there at one point, and I just think she's not healed and she should not be on TV. I don't think she should either have a platform, because people who justify her behavior and excuse her actions, I can tell it's coming from a place of hurt, but I really don't like the amount of racism and microaggressions they use to justify her actions towards other people, because she is a professional victim, and I don't like how she talks about her past traumas and the way that she uses everything as an excuse or a justification for her bad behavior. And I don't like that when people try and hold her accountable, she just brings up the white woman tears. You cannot pay me to like her. You cannot convince me to like her. There is no justification for her actions. And if you stand by Huda and you defend the things that she does or says about her quote unquote friends or any of the other women on that island, I think that you are a male identified woman who also just hates women, period, especially Black women. Not too much. Okay. Then they show off Yulissa, okay, and she's talking about how she's Cuban and she's from Miami, and that was immediately setting off the red flags in my mind because when she was said that, all I could think of, I don't know if you guys remember, it was like 2016 or 2015 when this viral banger came out, like the Cubans, they just dropped a banger. It was like, oh my God, I will support, blah blah blah. Okay, that's what I thought. As soon as she said I'm Cuban and I'm from Miami, my brain immediately went there. I was like, I'm not trying to like make assumptions, but there is some basic standards like for Cubans and how they feel about Big Orange Man. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. Then we had so the coupling. It happens. Bella ends up with Nick. Alindri and Taylor get together. Huda ends up with Jeremiah. Yulissa ends up with Ace. And Shelly ends up with Austin, unfortunately. I just feel like he reminds me of that character from that one Disney show. I didn't really watch a lot of Disney growing up, but like I saw a meme and it was like the trapezoid head guy or rhombus head guy and Austin. And I was like, oh my gosh, twins. Okay, so that's that. That was day one. And then, they're keeping things going. Next thing you know, Ulysses is from the villa, bi racist, like you want to be saying the N-word and all this other stuff and be white, get out. Like I was so happy that they took her out. Okay. So then since she's gone, Ace is single. So then Ace, he's like, he was automatically raising the pressure, but he, from the jump, I feel like he was a guy raised by like intentional parents. I can tell like his parents really have like a really healthy relationship because the way that he pursued Shelly and the way that he kept like just applying pressure to his friends as well to pursue the women that they were interested in and do these little actions and little things to show that intentionality, to show that interest, to raise that value, to raise that standard. It was quite impressive to me. And I just kept having to like remind myself, like, this dude is so young and he's doing this much already. And, the Daddy Ace memes are funny. And it's good that like the boys, like they have a good enough friendship where they can joke about it and still, say this stuff. But it was really starting to feel like he was running that house like a fucking dictator. He was in there telling who to do what, how to do it. Everybody was coming to him for advice. I'm like, his emotional intelligence is quite high, but we do have to remember he's quite young and his advice was pretty solid, but I didn't like how once he had a belief about something, he wanted to push everybody else into that same belief. So like if he don't like somebody, now everybody gotta not like that person. If he don't like something that somebody's doing, now everybody gotta stop doing. Like, oh my gosh, it was such a problem. And you could see like he was in some competition internally or externally with other people. Maybe it was like an insecurity thing, but that was something that I noticed. But I wish people also give him grace because as manipulative stuff that was, I'm like, he is really young, so I can understand where that's coming from because maybe he's not completely secure in himself or he don't know himself yet. But then I've seen videos afterwards where he just said like it was stuff that was happening with production that y'all wouldn't know, so I'm just gonna try and have grace with him for that because from what I've seen and how he's been towards the women, I do have a problem with it. But I don't like how people keep trying to shift blame on Shelly for how he treated women that he don't like. But it does say a lot. Like if a guy don't like women and he's rude to them, like how he was to women that he wasn't attracted to, I do see that as a red flag. But maybe it was something going on that we don't know. I'm just trying to give the benefit of the doubt. I'm always gonna give the benefit of the doubt to anybody Black. Sorry, I'm biased. Okay. He comes up with her after because Yulissa was gone, so he was just really applying that pressure. And then they introduced another girl. They introduced Sierra to the villa, and everybody's still talking. Once again, like he just, how do I say this? I'm trying not to be judgmental. Ace, like, he was really applying a lot of pressure to Shelly at this time. So Austin kept complaining, like, that's like his main thing, like, oh, I'm tired of being in a love triangle. That's what he kept saying. But from what we saw, maybe he was doing something, but from what we saw, I don't like him because he's a Trump supporter. But from what we saw, it didn't seem like he was doing that much. But he kept like complaining to me, like, oh, not enough this, not enough that. I am not sure. We don't know, but that's just what's going on in my head. How he kept complaining about being in a love triangle, but he was not trying to increase anything. Okay, where's Ace? I keep forgetting where he's at, his little ass. Okay, so then, like I said, they introduced Sierra because Yulissa got removed, so they need to like get a new girl in there expeditiously. So the recoupling happens, and pretty much everybody stays like with who they were interested in, except for Nick. Nick ends up separating himself from Bella, and he switches to Sierra. And then, obviously Bella gets voted off the island. She's dumped. she wasn't there that long. I don't understand like people's obsession with her. I did get a lot of red flags from her because she was using like manosphere, like red pill talking points. She kept referring to herself as like high value and saying she knows her value and her worth and all this other stuff because she's like not really had a lot of sex. She's not really kissed a lot of people, and it was like it was given a lot of like purity culture. I'm like it must be like she's from a religious background because the religious trauma and the double speak was double speaking. That's all I'm gonna say about her. I'm not too invested in her. I've not watched any of her stuff afterwards. I just feel like she's very young, she's very immature, and she's not very bright. So I wasn't really that interested in what she had to say post Villa. Sorry. Okay. So now we're on to day 6, and Amaya and Ace are still together. Well, they just got recoupled together because she came in as a bombshell. And honestly, I felt really bad for Amaya during this time because Ace chose her. Why would you pick her if you don't like her? That was it kind of felt like he was trying to get his lick back at Shelly because of how much she was invested in Austin, how basically she kept picking Austin and not him. So he's like, okay, I guess I gotta pick somebody else. So I didn't like that mentality, but then again, he is young, so I was like, maybe this is just not what makes sense. And I think that him and Amaya were giving off kind of like sibling vibes. Like it felt like too much big personality, too much aggression, too much like resentment while they were together. But then once they weren't in a relationship, they were like so chill and they got along pretty well. So I'm just hoping that, over time things can improve. But yeah, while they were together, it was just like I don't how do you say like when you're cooking something like and you put the oil in the pan and you throw in something that has water, or you throw water into the pan while that oil is hot and it just starts everywhere. That was their relationship. I was not going for it. I did not like their chemistry at all. They didn't even have chemistry. Okay. Next up, Nick is still with Sierra. He doesn't recouple with anybody else. He's with Sierra. Olandria is still with Taylor. He chose Taylor. Hood and Jeremiah are still together, but at this point in the time, they were like really toxic. They were so starting to like show many signs. I think from the beginning, like the very first night, they had a lot of red flags, and I was not here for it. I did not like it. I was not a fan. It made me deeply uncomfortable the way that they were acting, the way they were talking. So after that, we see that they seem to be getting along well at the beginning, but it was mostly just because of like this weird trauma bonding, like weird enmeshment thing going on. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it was a lot of red flags from jump. Like I could tell how physically attracted they were to each other, but it was like weirdly attached because they weren't willing to close things off. But they kept talking about how deep and how intimate their connection was, how deep their relationship was getting. And I'm like, okay, so if y'all feel that way, why don't y'all close things off? Like they weren't exploring anybody else. But I just felt like he was using Huda similar to how Taylor was using Alandria delusional. Taylor was so delusional for that. Like you're trying to use Alandria for something safer. But it was just like I felt the same vibe from Jeremiah. Like he was clearly waiting for somebody else because when he got his chance, he told the boys, he's like, I'm looking for a spicy Latina. Like that's my type. Like he was settling for Huda, but it was like just because the Latina that was on option was a racist, funny looking girl, he didn't want her, so he was just waiting for somebody else to come in. Okay, so then we have Amaya and Ace who are together because of this recoupling. Shelly and Austin are still together. Taylor and Alandra are still together, and Nick and Sierra, I already talked about that. Okay, so then we move on to the second week, and in this one we see that Jalen is introduced as a bombshell, and he's gunning for Alandria. He was like, I'm a countryman, I'm gonna treat her right, I'm gonna do all these things that I gotta do. And now he got Taylor sweating because he's like, oh no, this is my meal ticket. Because Alandria is loved. She will always be loved. Shelly is loved. She will always be loved. So you could tell, like, Taylor was like, oh, maybe people are not really liking me. They're liking Alandria. So he was trying to use Alandria to stay in. And he did what he needed to do, which was so manipulative. He said what he needed to say, checked off the boxes that he needed to check off in order to keep her invested so he could stay on that island. Jalen made him apply pressure. And I'm so sad. Like, looking back on it, I'm pretty sure she's sad, too, that she didn't just pick Jalen and get Taylor out there because he did not have good intentions for her. The stuff that he was saying behind her back was real slick. I didn't like it. One thing I do not like is a man who will talk funny about a woman. That's really weird. Okay, so then Huda is upset because the bombshell Iris and who else? I'm trying to remember. It was Pepe, Iris, and Jalen. So they get introduced. I only was talking about Jalen. Jalen is a sweetheart, but I don't think he's how do I say? He's not an interesting enough character because just like Amaya, he's really genuine, but he's like such a mature guy. Like he's got a really good head on his shoulders. He's a really calm, relaxed person. So he just didn't make for good TV because there was a lot of there's a lot of tension in regards to him, Taylor, and Landry and that love triangle. And you could tell he was like, I'm just going to put myself out there. And if you can't accept it, that's okay. Like he was too mature, too healed for that type of situation. And Taylor's a little boy. That's all I got to say. Okay, this time, They do a recoupling. So Hannah couples up with Pepe. She's another bombshell, I think. I don't remember when she got added in. Oopsie. What did it say? Oh, she got added in the same day that Oh, I'm late. See, some of these people I just don't care about. I'm sorry. So Hannah got added in. I don't really remember her. I remember she's like a blonde hair, blue eyed girl. She seemed pretty sweet, if I remember correctly. I'll put a picture up. I want to put pictures up of all these people. Hopefully, I can remember them. Because again, I'm not looking at a script. I'm just looking at the order of people who got in and came out, and then remembering off of that. Okay. So Bella was single at that time. Hannah came in, and so did Charlie. They were the bombshells before Jalen, Iris, and Pepe. So they didn't really do a lot. Like, I wasn't really interested in them. Charlie coupled up with Hannah. So it's interesting because they were both bombshells. Charlie was like a mid bombshell, to be honest. I don't remember much about him. All I remember is that he was British and he was kind of funny looking. And he went after Shelly at first and then went after somebody else. And then he settled for Hannah, okay? So Charlie and Hannah together. And that was that from that time, I think. Okay, so now back to the other two who came in. Pepe and Iris. I don't really care about Iris. The whole time that she was in the show, she was just so forgettable to me. I don't know if her personality is boring or what, but every time she came on my screen, snooze fest. So I would just zoom past, skip. I did not care. And that's just how I am with like TV shows. Like if I see somebody and they don't look like me and they're not interesting, I'm fast forwarding. Sorry. I'm not that interested in white people. I don't really care about what they got going on. That's why I can't watch Love Island UK. I'm just like, okay. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not forcing myself to like something. So I was skipping. Okay, Pepe, he loves him a distraught white woman. A distraught blonde white woman who's crying and going through a lot emotionally. He's in there. This man is like a nuke. he got every white puss he wanted. He has a type, that's for sure. Okay? I'm not going to talk about them too much. I don't really care. So there's a lot of other people who get introduced. Okay. Then they do another recoupling. This time, Amaya ends up with Austin at this recoupling. Nick and Sierra stay together. Alandria and Taylor, after she was forced to couple up with Jalen, she chose to recouple with Taylor. I was so disappointed by that. I was like, no, I know he's not maybe your type physically, or maybe she did like him. I'm not sure. It did not give the tint that she liked him. Like she wasn't even trying to get him, which she don't like. That's just her character. She's a very classy woman. Yeah, she wasn't going for Jalen. So she went back to Taylor. I was so upset. Huda is single because Iris was voted by America to be with Jeremiah. That caused her to crash out again. The first couple episodes, after that whole thing, like when Huda and Chris were together, I was so miserable watching the show. I just kept skipping past every part she was on. She had like such a dark energy the whole time. Like I'm watching and it feels like I'm having a miserable slog. It felt like my energy was being sucked out of my body. I was like, I do not want to watch this woman be angry, screaming, throwing things, yelling, punching shit, crying, hysterical. Why is she still here? That was my thought. And the fact that everybody kept voting to save her, and the whole time she's just like weaponizing girl code, weaponizing girl, weaponizing sisterhood. And the whole time she was a massive hypocrite. She did not follow her own code. It was so annoying to me. And I'm like, one of these girls is gonna call her out for it. But then I remember every single time they tried to hold her accountable or say something, she wanted to go on and bring out them tears. So I understood. I was so frustrated. Oh. And then eventually when somebody did, check her, even so classy, so high tea, so, professional, people still pull out that racism. So I can understand why people just got tired of it. No one wants to deal with that. It's like you're going to be vilified for trying to check or put a grown-ass woman in place when she's acting like a toddler. That was just embarrassing, okay? So at this recoupling, there's a bunch of people who get, vulnerable. So Hood is vulnerable and they save her, and then a bunch of other people get dumped off the island. I don't really remember, okay? Then Andreina and TJ come in this episode that Megan Thee Stallion was on. So, I was loving that episode. That was a good episode. It was pretty funny. I didn't like how the guys wasn't really trying to twerk. They was like, I guess they weren't very secure in their sexuality or their heteronormativity or whatever because they was not trying to shake that ass. So when a few of the boys did, Nick, I was like, okay, I see you. Like, that's what we love. We love a secure guy who, like, knows that just because I pop some ass don't make me gay. Even though he didn't do a good job, he was trying. That was interesting. I was entertained, okay? Then after that, they have Casa go on. So it was weird because Casa came on and I was just like, there's not really any strong couples. Like, we only just had some people couple up, like Shelly and Ace. And everybody else, I was just like, they're okay, I guess. Like, it wasn't really, giving, like, strong couple. It wasn't giving, like, defined relationship. It wasn't giving trust. It wasn't giving enthusiasm. It wasn't giving anything. So I was like, okay. So I understood why they were like, we're going to shake it up completely this year with Casa and make sure everybody's single and everybody can try and explore and have a new connection. But so many of the Casa people, they did not have good intentions. I was not going for it. Like, some people, they bullied a lot of people. They bullied the Vanna girl. I felt really bad for her. You could tell, like, she's just a product of her environment, and I don't think it's good to, highly critique somebody like that. Like I got some of the jokes and I did laugh at them too. But I'm like, imagine you come, off of a social experiment and the first thing you see when you get back is people making fun of surgery or whatever that you had. That can't feel good. I feel bad for that girl. They also introduced Andreina before this, and when she got introduced and she went straight to Jeremiah, and Jeremiah went straight to her. The boys like, get them out of here, get them out of this island. That's how I felt. Okay, it did feel like a targeted thing towards Jeremiah, but I didn't like how it was a lot of like weaponizing of therapy speak going on and like misconstruing of people's words and twisting actions and vilifying. I didn't like Jeremiah, but I felt like he should have stayed, and I feel like Huda should have went. If anything, I don't know why everybody decided to save her and send him back. That was really weird to me. Okay. So then we're back onto Casa. Sorry, I got sidetracked. We're back onto Casa, and they introduced the boys. They introduced Zach. They introduced this boy, JD, Mr. Teeth. They introduced another Zach with a C, Zach with a K. They introduced Elan, who I'm surprised he was on there because come to find out he's an IDF soldier. Okay, sorry. Excuse the shitty audio. This is my other headset. So I do want to clarify that maybe he wasn't an IDF shoulder, or most likely he wasn't, because I looked it up from the claims because it was quite popular on social media, and it seems that there's no substantiated evidence, even though he's like frequently in Israel and he's closely identified with that country. It doesn't seem, or we don't have any video or photographic evidence or even record evidence that he was in the IDF. So maybe he just really, really loves Israel, but there's no proof that he served in the army. And I'm like, what is up with this season? I just want to go off on a tangent. What is up with this season and inviting men from the manosphere and those tangential things onto a show with women, especially women of color? I'm like, is this not dangerous? Y'all didn't do a better job casting. You've got a Middle Eastern girl who's Palestinian and an Israeli guy who served in the IDF together in a house. I was like, that's weird logistically. Why is that happening? Then we got Trump supporters like fucking Austin in the house with black people and Latinos. It's just like quite weird for me. And then it's just like a bunch of other guys like JD, who's a fucking Tory Lane supporter. I'm like, what is going on? Like, why are all these people on this show, all these problematic ass men? So when I saw that article that was like, oh, Love Island brought to you by the manosphere, I'm like, clock it, because what is up with these dudes and their problematic ass beliefs having access to these women who some of them belong to vulnerable communities? It's really odd to me. I don't support that. I did not like that. Okay, so I will never be an Elon supporter. Then they introduced Brian. Yeah, Brian, he's sweet, but his personality, they didn't show it a lot. So I really wasn't that invested in him. They started showing his personality more later. And at that point, I was like, okay, he's a chill guy. But before then, I was like, I don't really know him. I don't really care. It seemed like he was interested in Andreina as well. But I guess a lot of the guys just got bored of her or something. I don't know what's going on. I thought she was funny, which is, I want to take your man. But then the whole show, she's just like, just sitting pretty. It was upsetting. Okay. Yeah, and then after Vanna, they have Coco. Coco was gorgeous, but I didn't like how she came for Olandria after the show. I know she said that it was a misinterpretation or clips getting cut. I'm not going to watch the full interview. I just don't think you should come at other black people on such a big platform, which is why I'm not going to say too much. That's just my opinion. Clark, I didn't like the comments that she made about Olandria again, but I'm not going to come at her publicly. I got to support black women, but I just wish people would have stayed on code with that. Then we had this other girl, Grayson seemed sweet, but again, I don't really care for her. And then there was another girl. What's her name? I can't remember. I think I covered all the Casa girls. Anybody who I forgot, sorry. Same issue as last year. I wasn't that interested. Okay. Then they do a recoupling. A bunch of the Casa people get kicked off. Boop. No one cares. So a lot of them get voted off. So at this point, we're on day 24. So we have Brian, who's safe, Amaya, who's safe. We have Nick, Alandria, Chris and Huda, Iris, Pepe, Ace, Shelly, Clark, Taylor, and Elon, and Zach with a K, and Sierra. So that's all the people who are together or safe at this point. And Taylor was vulnerable because, I don't know. I don't remember what happened, but there was a lot going on. So then later, they had another recoupling 2 days later, and Amaya and Brian finally couple up. Nick couples up with Sierra again. I was so upset with that. I'm like, no. But then I think it's because like at that point everybody's in that big circle and he was just really, really stuck on keeping it safe because Elon was still there and Alindra was being a bit of a coward where she was being too loyal to Sierra. I felt so bad because like as viewers we knew how them girls was moving towards each other and I was so upset that she was being so loyal to people who would not do the same. It's like if you were burning, this person would not spit on you to put you out, but you're being so loyal to them. It was so upsetting to see. Yeah, so they couple up finally, Nick and Alandria, because Sierra got removed. I was so happy when that happened. And Chris, he's with Huda still. He looks miserable. Like, I saw that video where it was like the Huda effect, and it was like the guys lighting their life, happy, smiling. Then after Huda, Yeah, I feel bad for them. But they chose it. They chose to be with her. Okay? After that, we have Pepe and Iris who were together. Shelly and Ace were still together. And then Taylor and Clark. They closed things off and then were kicked out of the villa with the swiftness. Okay? After that, they moved on to the semifinal where it was Shelly, Ace, Iris, Pepe, Chris Huda, Nick Alandria, and Amaya and Brian. Yeah. Okay. I think that challenge was quite messy because it did show people who was popular and who wasn't, and I did not like how some of the boys changed how they were moving after they found out who was popular. I thought that was kind of messy, but it is what it is, and that's just how people are going to be. We have a lot of opportunists on the show, and I think that some of the cast has to be aware of that, so that was a good reminder that some people are going to change the way that they act around you depending on how you're perceived. It's kind of like last year when some of the people realized how popular PPG was and they started changing up how they acted around. They went from talking shit to me like, oh, that's my bestie, actually, like, I love her. It's the same thing this season, okay? So we're in the semifinals at this point. They all have like a bunch of activities that they do. They do some more fun shit, and then they go down to the final dinner thing, and then Ace and Shelly are eliminated. I think it was quite upsetting, but then, this season, it did seem to have a theme of like, oh, if you're a strong couple or you have a good connection, you're getting voted off. So that was the standard that was set. So that's how the people voted. I cannot vote right now since I'm abroad. So I was upset. I was like, oh, I wouldn't have voted for them anyway, but I did expect to see them in the final because they were like one of the longest lasting couples there, so for them to get voted off, I was quite upset. I was just mad that TJ and Iris, not TJ, Pepe and Iris were still there. I was like, why are they still on this screen? Like, I could not focus on anything they was talking about. As soon as they popped up on my screen, I was skipping with the swiftness. I'm like, you can't pay me to care. Like, I'm sorry. It was the same shit as last year with Aaron and Kayla. Same issue. I was like, just boring. The same problems all over again. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm skipping. Sorry, you just can't get me invested in a white woman. It's not happening. I do not care. Okay, after that, they have the final where they vote out for people. And first of all, I want to say Alandria ate down with that outfit. Like, serving face, serving body crazy curvy waist, big titty, little waist. It was good body, yaddy, face, everything. It was great. So I was like, yes, Alandria. Like, when she stepped out, I was like, whoo. And then you saw Nick's face. He's like, just everything. So I was like, okay, like I was really happy. So anyway, the final rankings, it comes out to be Pepe and Iris in 4th place. They should have been 5th place. They should have got dumped way sooner. Then we have Hood and Chris. Why are they still on the show? If they knew that they were going to break up, I didn't even watch the thing. I skipped through it and then saw the highlights afterwards. I'm like, oh, they broke up? Because I did not care. I did not care about their storyline. I did not care about following it. You could tell, like, he was not really that into her. He came in for Shelly. He was like, oh, I'll just do a side quest on Hood because Hood is easy. And then he got bored of her because he's like, damn, I should have just took Shelly when I had the chance. Because he was going so hard for her. I knew Hood hated Chris because of how much he was doing for Shelly and how little he was doing for her. But you already set the standard that a guy can do the bare minimum and you gonna give it up. You gonna do whatever it takes to keep him. You gonna do whatever it takes to keep him. Why is he gotta chase you? Why he gotta pursue you? Why does he need to be chivalrous if you're not doing the same thing? You're not treating yourself like a high, decent, value woman with, I shouldn't say high value, I'm sorry. You shouldn't, treat yourself like you're at this elevated level, like you have this standard when you don't. So obviously men, they're gonna see that it doesn't take a lot and they're gonna do bare minimum. I'm sorry, that's how it is. That's what it is. You need to learn that. Men, they like to chase more than they like the prize, to be honest. So you wouldn't give him a chance to chase, but he said he don't want to chase, which says a lot because he was willing to chase Shelly, but he wasn't willing to chase you. And I could tell that shit had you mad. So when people, sorry, another tangent. When people coming up talking about Shelly was jealous of Huda for what? What could she be jealous of? There's nothing to be jealous of. Everything that Huda has, she bought. Shelly got that shit naturally. She came out the womb, grew up, and developed her shit. Why would she be jealous of fucking Huda? Huda bought her whole face, bought her whole body, bought everything. So what is there to be jealous of? Like, there's nothing that she should be jealous of. Like, I just don't get it when people are like, oh, she's jealous of her. How? But for her being crazy, for her being mentally unstable, for her being unwell, for her having a kid, being a single mom, like, what is there to be jealous of? What is there to be jealous of? There's nothing to be jealous of. Shelly's a hot commodity. Everybody wants Shelly. Everybody wants Alandria. Why would they be jealous of Huda? Huda has nothing that they don't have besides lighter skin. And if you think that makes her a prize over them, you're fucking racist. You're colorist. Sorry, it had to be said. There's nothing to be jealous of. There's nothing to be envious of. If that is your justification for why they don't like her, rather than the bad behavior that she has exhibited throughout the entire season, that she kept showing throughout the entire season, and the behavior that she was projecting on everybody, making everybody miserable, then that is a you problem. Seek therapy immediately. That's all I'm going to say about that situation. I do not like Huda. You cannot pay me to like her. You cannot pay me to watch her content. It was like that movie. I'm trying to remember what it's called. But it was like, open your eyes. And it's the guys like that. Like, people trying to show me Huda's good. That was me. No, I don't want to see. No, I'm not. I don't care. Okay? Then we have Nick and Alandria as the runners-up. And then Brian and Amaya won. She's the people's princess. I expected her to win. I would have expected Nick and Alondra to win because they had a strong connection. But for some reason, we know the reason is fucking racism. Y'all can't seem to understand that he likes her and that he's attracted to her and that he finds her attractive and sexy. So that was like really annoying me. Like the people just keep justifying, oh, maybe, how do we know the connection is pure? How do we know it's genuine? Just say you don't like black women. Like when she was with Taylor, y'all were fine with her being disrespected by Taylor, being the second choice to Taylor. But then once she's the first choice for Nick and viewed as a prize by him, suddenly it's a problem. Suddenly we don't understand what he could be doing. Maybe he's not being genuine. Maybe this isn't authentic. Like when he stepped straight out the gate with them, I don't remember, the Office podcast with the two blonde women, and he came out, he's like, oh, Alandria did, Alandria. You could see they did not like that. I've never watched their shit before. I think I watched the interview they did with the PPG in their men last year, and I was like, they give off weird vibes. Like, it's just weird vibes. Like, anytime it's a same race couple, they don't have a problem, but then suddenly people are different races, and they're like, oh, I don't like that, I'm not sure. So, clock it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay, so my final thoughts about this season. I think it was a good season. I think it could have been better if they would have kept some people out of the cast, and they would have got rid of Huddisonner. That would have made the season way, way better. They should have kept Jeremiah until, maybe like the third week or so and then dumped him. I think that, honestly, it would have been a better season if Shelly and Ace got together sooner and stayed together. If we had Nick and Alandria together from the beginning, didn't even bring in Sierra. Sierra can just go, sorry. And then I think Brian and Amaya are a good pair, and then I think Andreina and Jeremiah could have been a pair, and that could have been like the final six, in my opinion. Everything else can go out the window. Like, it was just so much drama. I feel like Austin shouldn't have been on the show. JD shouldn't have been on the show. Elon shouldn't have been on the show. There shouldn't have been so many people who were not on the show. They should have done better background checks to make sure it was a safe environment and a safe casting for the people who were going to be on that island. Because you're going to be isolated in a house with somebody who hates your identity, hates you that much, and they're willing to join a freaking militant group or be a part of a movement that tries to, get rid of your whole identity. I think that's a problem. They should do a better job casting. And when they're like, oh, we're going to do the casting and make sure we put in more effort next year, do it. Show it. Actually make changes. Make shit that's genuine. Invite people on the island who are actually looking for love instead of so many clout chasers who are just looking here to get popular. Because more than half of the cast, I think, was not genuinely looking for love. And again, do better by black people. I'm tired of y'all inviting black women on these shows, and I only watched it for these 2 seasons. And seeing how y'all mistreat black women and try to make it seem like they're not desired or they're not the goal. And then I've seen clips of how it is in the UK, and apparently it's even worse. What is this? This is not minstrelsy. Like, we don't need to see black suffering every single time. Like, if you can't find people who are attracted to everybody and they only like white women, nobody wants to watch that show. Like, you have a huge demographic of people who could be watching your show, but you're treating them like they're the undesirables or the leftovers. Of course, they're not going to watch. That's all I'm going to say about this season. Hopefully, this rant was pretty good. I'll add more if I need to. I'll probably still be upset about some stuff regarding Chili and Alindra. I did not play about them. Sorry. I'm not sorry, okay? Anyway, that's going to be it. I'm going to try and edit this. I'm going to put in the pictures and my yap or whatever. Maybe I'll speed it up. Who knows? I will see you guys next time. Later. Peace. That whole episode was kind of messy too before, where they did the hearts challenge where they talk about who was loved and who wasn't loved. And some of the boys started moving real different around Amaya once they realized how popular she was. That was bothering me. But I'm glad that some people got reminded and... Oh. No.